Yes, we have a winner!
With the PS2 on the way to the market, one of the biggest gaming companies of the time, Squaresoft, started working on a game to show off the graphical power of the new console. What they showed was The Bouncer, a dystopian beat-em-up where you play as bouncers from a local bar challenging an all-powerful corporation in order to rescue their kidnapped co-worker. Initial responses were great and people were excited by the gameplay and graphics shown, impressed by the advanced animations, high-poly models, destructible environments, and the ability to use scenery as weapons. And then when The Bouncer released, it was met with an overwhelming response of meh, mainly due to the lack of many gameplay aspects that were promised in the initial trailer. A trend which is pretty much par for the course these days. But I got The Bouncer as a Wii one with no idea about upcoming games or public opinion since I didn't have the internet. The way I discovered games was by heading to Blockbuster and judging them by their covers. Sometimes this worked and sometimes it didn't. And The Bouncer is one of these games that I brought home and loved, despite the fact that most people were unimpressed. The Bouncer takes place in the city of Edge? Are you serious? They named the city Edge? Not even Edge City, it's just Edge. Oh god, now I see why I loved it as a kid. And it follows the story of 3 bouncers. Volt Kruger, Ko-Lifo, and Sion Barzard. Oh my god, these names. These names are trying so painfully hard to be badass. They're in the same vein as names like Jill Valentine, or Ivy Valentine, or Vincent Valentine, or Axel Lenz. And they all work at a bar called Fate. That's it, I'm done, show's over. One day while working at the bar, Sion is talking to obvious love interest Dominique, who I guess isn't wearing pants. Sion is incredibly rude and cold to Dominique, which just makes him hotter. Then all of a sudden ninjas happen. Stay with me. We now get to choose which character to play as, and as we all guessed, Sion is objectively the worst. Of course I go with Ko because come on, he's a handsome dude. We now get an actual taste of the Bouncer's gameplay, and honestly there's not too much to say. It's a very standard beat-em-up. Each button does a different attack, and holding down L1 while pressing a button lets you do a special attack after you've learned some. It all works, but it's very simplistic. Combos are insanely hard to pull off, so combat generally consists of a few basic attacks and then waiting for your enemy to get back up. And that's pretty much it. That's the combat throughout the entire game. Even the special attacks really aren't too special. But there's enough variation that it doesn't get completely tiring. Unlike some games. So Dominique gets captured by ninjas and we start our journey to rescue her. A damsel in distress story. Truly breaking new ground. When the crew gets to the train station, they find even more ninjas, and once again we have to choose a character. Now here is probably the biggest flaw of the Bouncer. When you defeat an enemy, you earn points that you can spend on upgrading attack, health, and defense, or buy special moves. But you only get these points when you land the last hit. And I'm talking about you, the character you're controlling at the moment. If your partner steals your kill, then you get nothing and he gets nothing. This means that you can only upgrade one character after every battle. It also means that if you upgrade everyone evenly, then the other two have a higher chance of landing the finishing blow, which means you're missing out on a lot of experience. For that reason, if you want the most efficiency out of your Bouncer experience, you want to choose the same character for every single fight and upgrade him exclusively. If not, you have a party of underleveled fellows who will just lose more and more every fight. Yet before every fight, you're still given the option of choosing your character. But honestly, sticking to one character doesn't bother me too much because you get exclusive paths and story bits. Plus I like Ko. So for this playthrough, we're going to learn a lot about him. Also, this is probably the last time I'll be talking about game mechanics. There's really not much to it.
What is it? Huh? You recognize that Black Panther?
No. I'm sorry, but why is it so weird to stare at a panther in the city? Is Edge so edgy that they released panthers to deal with rodent problems? When entering the train station, our heroes are promptly assaulted by security guards. Why? Why is it weird for them to be at the train station? I don't think this is explained, but whatever. We're now beating up security guards, which is fine, because as video games have taught us, it's perfectly okay to attack cops because they're always working for an evil organization. They hop on the train, exchange some key bits of exposition, and move on to fight Echidna. She's the leader of a special forces group, but apparently thinks that uniforms are beneath her. We promptly beat the hell out of her. A friend of Ko's arrives via high-tech UFO-style helicopter and shoots the train to high heaven, disabling the brakes. Now this brings up 3 questions. Number 1, what was she needed for? Number 2, why did she shoot the train knowing full well that Ko and his friends were on it? And number 3, why did they take the train if Ko had access to a machine like this? Either way, a bunch of crazy bullshit happens, we get to fight a crazy ninja man, Mugetsu, there's something so great about this character, and we eventually find evil handsome corporation leader talking to an old Chinese man. Then, In a dramatic reveal, we discover that this random Chinese man we've never seen before is Sion's long-lost karate teacher.
What a twist!
And that Dominique is evil handsome dude's sister. Why do you have to kidnap your own sister? We then prove our worth against Evil Dude and Panther Chick. Shit! Take 2, using the power of spinning. Also, ragdoll effects are never not hilarious. Who thought this looked more realistic? But despite beating him up in the game, he beats us up in a cutscene. Which is not fair. I don't have control during a cutscene. You cheated! And then he dumps us down a trapdoor that would fit better in a Looney Tunes episode. Random backstory flashback. Evil Dude and Dominique were little orphans and Dominique was sick, but no hospital would treat her because doctors are total assholes. But then Evil Dude is found by Rich Guy who adopts them both and pays for their medical bills in exchange for Evil Dude studying super hard to become his heir. That trapdoor fall for some reason separates our heroes. I like to imagine they fell on 3 separate slides, and like usual, I pick Ko. I don't know what happens to these two and I don't really care. Ko is cooler. He gets dumped into a locker room, an angry guard comes in, gets beaten up and his uniform stolen. Holy shit, the security at this mega corporation is absolute garbage. What is the logic behind that trapdoor not simply dumping them into a jail cell or a spike pit? The next section becomes what is supposed to be a stealth game but is actually just Simon Says. Guards will do a pose and you have to press the right button in order to match that pose. Now this is something that can only be messed up in a video game.
Hey, you! You're not special forces.
But on the other hand, why would you do the correct pose and avoid the fight when you could just fight everyone and get a shitload of extra experience? Plus one of them you can't even win because one of the guards is having a little trouble. While we're on this topic, does anyone else find the thought of all these ninjas casually walking through an office building to be absolutely hilarious? This needs to be a sitcom. Our crew meets up again, Ko gets his ass thrown by Volt, and we're treated to another fight with Mugetsu, and oh my god, I just love him. His delivery is so badass.
Don't make me angry! You wouldn't like me when I'm angry! I don't care if I destroy my mind! As long as I slaughter all of you!
Thank you, R. Martin Klein. We knock out Mugetsu and save Dominique, and why was she here again? I don't know, I guess I had to play Sion's story.
Always getting me in trouble. You had me worried.
This is the first time you ever hugged me.
Oh god, do we really have to sit through this?
I don't mean to intrude, but could we save the love scene for later?
This is why Ko is the best! An escape plan is concocted where 2 members will cause a distraction and the third will escort Dominique to the exit. Oh god, an escort mission. Obviously I picked Ko because I want to be him one day.
Aww, why Ko?
Bitch.
Shall we proceed, Your Highness?
Oh yes, my brave knight. I place my fate in your hands.
Bitch. While we're here, I might as well mention that Ko constantly strikes out with and is insulted by women. Ko, the tall, handsome, funny man who, according to backstory, is musically talented, a genius, trained in martial arts, and an absolute mystery. He's pretty much the perfect man. So if he has no luck with women, then what chance do you think you have? Oh yeah, escort mission. Like every escort mission, it's terrible. But this one is especially bad because Dominique is incredibly suicidal and spends all her time walking directly into the enemy. But luckily, it's also easy as hell because... After defeating 1,000 robots 1 robot at a time, we take a slow elevator ride that gives Dominique just enough time to ask an unnecessary question that leads to some incredibly sloppy exposition.
Think it's okay for me to stay with Sion? I don't like this place. I ran away from here, and that's how I was able to meet Sion, and all of you.
Probably could have saved this for when y'all got home, but at the bottom of the elevator, Dominique gets kidnapped again, and oh, are you kidding me? Who the hell designed this android? Alright, I want him to have a glowing red eye because that was cool in Terminator. Oh, and give him some facial tattoos and metal implants so he can never look right in public or be stealthy while on a mission. And we need to appeal to the younger generation, so give him a silver emo cut and lipstick. Should we give him some guns, sir? Fuck that! Give him a goddamned extendo arm! That shit is awesome! Oh, and while we're at it, dress him up like Banjo-fucking-Kazooie for maximum intimidation. After kicking his ass, a whole bunch more show up, and why in the hell would they mass produce these things? Dominique wakes up, gets scared for Sion, and then this shit happens. It turns out that Dominique is an android.
What a twist!
I'm sorry, but is this where we're going now? This girl who has been nothing but weak and pathetic the entire game is actually a sleeper android? Not only is this batshit insane, but it opens up a hell of a lot of plot holes. Most notably the thing I mentioned earlier about why the hell did Mikado need to send ninjas to kidnap her? If she was a robot, wouldn't she have some sort of control that would have prevented her from running away in the first place? There's also the question about why the hell she's a robot anyway. But thankfully, Volt knows everything. Apparently, Volt used to be a bodyguard for the previous president of the Mikado Corporation. Yeah. And he tells you that when Dominique was ill in that earlier flashback, she died from it, and her brother did everything he could to bring her back to life. Including making her a goddamn fighting machine. Why the fuck did you make her a combat android if you were trying to bring her back to life? She gets kidnapped by Mugetsu again because she's not allowed to be useful or self-sufficient for more than 3 minutes at a time, and we embark on the third quest to save her ass. Even though she's dead. She's dead, Sion. Let it go. Ko calls in some backup, we spin to win a few more robots, and Echidna shows up again. Hold on. She's still whiny, she still sucks, she's still easy. Not too many good female characters in this game. Shortly afterwards, we're treated to a full 2-minute cutscene of a spaceship launch. Oh yeah, I guess I forgot to mention, they're taking Dominique into space for some reason. I don't know. So the spaceship launches along with a bunch of fighter jets, and then Ko's friend comes in once again with her jet thingy to slow down the ship, and once again I have to ask why this jet wasn't just used to take Dominique back. It's a total Eagles of the Lord of the Rings scenario. After taking a tiny little hovercraft to chase down a large spaceship, yeah, I don't get it either, we're brought to yet another Mugetsu fight, and I'm just going to treat you to every piece of dialogue he says in this scene.
I've been waiting for you! Now that I don't have to worry about Duragon or the girl. I can't wait to butcher all of you!
Logically, he kicks my ass. Take two. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he came back from this. Mikado decides to use this time to go completely insane and go full Dr. Evil on the world, starting with blowing up the hospital that refused Dominique's treatment in a scene that was just plain stolen from Independence Day.
Well, actually, that was just footage from the movie Independence Day, but the real laser would be a lot like that, yeah.
Meanwhile, our team sneaks aboard the spaceship and are confronted with the Jaguar from before. We fight the Jaguar in the manner that one would expect. We step on it. After her defeat, she morphs back into a woman and Sion says some cryptic nonsense that would make sense if we played his story. But you know what? I'm just gonna tell you. In this fight, Sion just killed his dead ex-girlfriend who can now transform into a Jaguar.
What?
How emotionally damaged do you have to be to not get some kind of response out of a situation like this? Your girlfriend, whose death destroyed you, came back as an Animorph and you killed her. Also, was she able to turn into a Jaguar while she was still alive? Because you clearly recognized her back at the station. This adds a whole new layer of what the fuck to the lore of this world. Are Animorphs common? And now that I think about it, how did she beat you to Mikado's room? You took a goddamn train. Was she flown in on a private helicopter just because Mikado thought some foreshadowing was in order? Man, I need to read something simple after this. We enter the final boss door and Mikado gives a long-winded speech that I'll sum up in about 4 words. You are all sheeple. He also reveals that Dominique is a battery for a doomsday device. I'm not even gonna play it this time. I'm just gonna let you think about how stupid this is. He also calls Dominique a useless puppet. I'm gonna let you think about how stupid this one is too. Also how it's a clear lie to remove any sense of pity we had for the villain in order to beat him up without remorse. Not like we really needed a moral compass before. Phase 1 is a fight. We win. But in Phase 2 he reveals his true form. The same person except without a jacket on. He also talks about how his life was so humiliating because he was the strongest, smartest, and most important person in the world, and oh man, they really wanted to ruin this character right at the end, didn't they?
You must be joking, right?
What he said. Phase 2 is a fight. We win. Some bullshit happens which translates into the final boss has been destroyed and now the place you fought him in will self-destruct because this is how tension is made at the end of every game ever.
Bouncers, can you hear me?
Leanne.
There is a whole 5 minutes of intense, angry vibration during the final cutscene of this game. Now a copy of the Bouncer averages around $10 or $15. Compare that to the average price of, oh, you know where I'm going with this. Just remember to clean off the controller when your little brother wants to play Ape Escape. Things explode and everyone is happy. Except Mikado. He's dead. Overall, the Bouncer isn't anything special. It has very simplistic, repetitive combat that rarely deviates from the format, and a story that is insane, overcomplicated, and loaded with plot holes. And it doesn't offer much beyond that. It's mostly just an interactive movie, or more accurately, an interactive B-movie. And I love it! The absolute insanity of the plot is such a pleasure to go through every now and then, and New Game Plus makes it very replayable, allowing you to level up all your characters to S rank. Not to mention the fact that the Bouncer is one of the best looking PS2 games despite being one of the first games for the system. And the voice acting and animation are very solid for this era of gaming. It may be stupid, cheesy, and simple, but it will always hold a special place in my heart. I just really wish that there was co-op in the story mode because it seems like such a no-brainer. With more time and more effort, it could have been an incredible game. For now, it's a guilty pleasure that gives me no shame. I guess all that's left is to enjoy the credits. Oh no. Is this the credits theme? Oh man. Thanks for watching. I'm not even gonna do an outro this time. Just enjoy this.
Touch me, dear.